Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. I had requests to cover this story last night, but quite frankly, I wanted to get some sleep and then cover it this morning. Although, those of you across the pond, whenever I use those kind of words, you say things like, not here. It hasn't been the morning for a long while here. Fair enough. Well, we have updates to Winter of Woe Quest 1. For those of you who maybe didn't see all of the forum posts and even the tweets and Lord knows what else, there are so many people who called particularly the robot objective in this borderline impossible for people who didn't want to spend their entire inventory worth of resources. And given Necropolis, including myself, is something that I've been focusing on and spent way too many resources on. It's something I'm still building my resources back with. So it says, greetings summoners. We have an update on the first fight of Winter of Woe. Before we talk about the updates, we need to reiterate that this is meant to be end-game content, and that it should not be something that is easy to do, and that some investment of time, items, and energy is to be expected, and having a deep roster is going to be an advantage, and having a shallow roster may be a pretty big hindrance. This is intentional. Now, had a couple people last night with this specific line say, Prof, you got to talk about this, because they're basically saying for those Paragon players, because Paragon is the minimum progression this year for this event, they're saying those Paragon players, we expect you to spend a lot of units and a lot of revives and a lot of potions, because we know that your roster is not, of course, as deep as Valiant rosters, or even so many Paragon players who just can't get that second 7-star to rank 3 yet. And what I say to that is, yeah, that makes sense. That said, we do recognize that the difficulty in this fight, and especially in one of the objectives, is more than our players are comfortable with. Now, I don't like that phrasing. I don't think it's more than players are comfortable with. I think it's just BS that wasn't tested well enough. It was like they looked on paper for the toughest node combinations and just thought, good luck. And then came to realize if they actually tried it themselves, that it's borderline impossible without a crazy amount of items. Even the Guillotine 2099 attempt that so many people, including my man KT1, have highlighted on their respective channels. While there are some aspects of the fights that players might find too difficult, we want to focus on two major issues. The robot objective, the hashtag robot objective, has a very small pool of champions that can deal with the fight, and none that really thrive in the fight. None. Zero. They know this. They just admitted to that. That's a big deal. Additionally, absorbing man's regeneration can be pretty daunting, erasing progress that is made from one fight to the next. Yes, you can use revives and have less health to take down in some scenarios, but in other ways, you actually go backwards and you have more health to take down once you use a revive, and it feels like you're going backwards because, well, in a sense, you are. We weren't able to change this fight directly without causing issues, so here is our plan. To give players the option of skipping the robot objective, we will be granting every player who completes this quest an extra point. Summoners who complete the robot objective will still receive an extra point, and as such will either make additional progress towards some of the higher milestones or be able to skip an objective down the line. We weren't able to address the regeneration or overall kit absorbing man right now, but we will be taking the time to address his general mechanics and regeneration for when he returns to the gauntlet. We also know that players are concerned with the energy that is required to complete this fight. We're not going to make any changes to this at this time. We expect some upcoming fights to be easier and want to see where this tuning lands with a larger sample of those fights. This is something we will continue to assess as Winter of Woe proceeds. we're not making changes based on the other two objectives from a player performance and design perspective. The Gamma objective has a wide variety of champions that can deal with this fight effectively, and the Sinister Six objective is for Valiant players who we should expect to have access to a very wide roster of champions. Again, I think that first line was directed at Paragon players, obviously. Thank you all for your feedback and your patience as we worked to assess and address the situation. Okay, now even though there are some lines in this that I think could have been worded better, I have to give KABAM credit where credit's due. They're not blaming the player base for this. They're not saying we're whining too much. They're not refusing to take accountability like they've done in other cases. If you compare this to the KABAM Mike Hercules nerf situation, it's like talking to a parent after dealing with a toddler. It's really nice to see mature responses that take accountability for BS. And I think that's something that as a content creator, even though every time I make a video critiquing KABAM, I get people that say, he's just too negative, why does he even play this game, blah, blah, blah. And then when I make a video praising KABAM like this, I just know before I even post it that those same people aren't going to watch this, because then they could say, well, Prof. Hoff actually is fair and gives KABAM credit where credit is due. I do. I really do. I like to do it, but I'm not going to do it just to do it. They've got to earn it, and in this case they did. So KABAM, thank you for doing the right thing. It really makes the community better when that happens, and I love to cover it and give you credit where credit is due, because it's like a beautiful cycle of positivity that is earned when good things happen to good people. And in this case, KABAM's giving us a good thing to help us not be so angry. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.